Coming up tonight on the news at 6.
So there's quite a few people out fishing, including ourselves.
The pandemic's surprising impact on a Helena business. Plus, a group of Montana teens are putting their skills to use to help their community.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 6.
Good evening. Welcome to the News at 6. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. We'll start out tonight with a look at Montana's COVID-19 situation. Active cases of COVID-19 and hospitalizations from the virus in the state continue to decline. As of today, there are about 4,100 active cases. And to put that into perspective, active cases are currently at about 1/5 of where they were at their peak in mid-November and the lowest they have been since early October. Active hospitalizations have also fallen below 120. But the death toll does continue to rise and has now surpassed 1,200 Montanans lost to the virus. Now, recent increase in the death toll, that's due to, in part, state and local agencies reviewing data from the past several months and finding additional COVID-19 related deaths. And taking a look at the vaccine situation, an update on the number of COVID-19 vaccinations given in the state, according to the state COVID-19 vaccination dashboard, is over 86,000 vaccine doses have been administered. Now that's up nearly 10,000 doses since Monday. Over 18,500 Montanans have been fully immunized to COVID-19, and that's up from nearly 4,000 since Monday. All right, now it's time for First Weather with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz and his scooter. Your scooter did a great job yesterday.
Oh, thank you. Yes, just a plain boring scooter, though, from now on here. It's going to be real happy to get rid of this thing next week. Well, good evening, everybody. A little low pressure. All right, a little bigger than a little low pressure. It's out here off of the coast of California. A piece of that broke off and moved across the state today, producing some of the cloud cover. Well, a bigger chunk of that storm will be headed our way here for later this week. Winter weather advisory does not include Bozeman, more so for the Monida Pass area, Reynolds Pass area, closer to the Idaho border here. So it is snowing in parts of the state. A little slice of the storm moving through right now, and a bigger slice of the pie, so to speak, moving through on Friday. We've got a warmer weekend, mild temperatures for the end of January, but February could be a little different. More on the forecast coming up.
All right, thanks, Curtis. In March 2020, many businesses were unsure of how the COVID-19 pandemic would affect them. For some fly shops and guiding services in the state, it was as good a year as it could have been. MTN's Sam Hoyle has the story.
2020 was a very interesting year for small businesses across Montana, and for Chris Strainer, owner of Cross Currents Fly Shop both in Helena and in Craig, Montana, that remained true. But before the end of 2020, Strainer also said that they found themselves coming out on top.
Here in Craig on the Missouri, it was the perfect storm as far as numbers of people showing up in magnitudes we wouldn't have imagined. And that first week was overwhelming for, I think, all the businesses in Craig and along the river that had anything to do with floating, fishing, being outdoors.
But in the dead heat of winter, things for Strainer and his staff have slowed down measurably. But instead of guiding or doing in-person retail, they're planning for next season and running the mail order side of the business.
That's the bulk of our sales. We still have people coming in. You know, we had a mild early month in January, so there's quite a few people out fishing, including ourselves. So there's a little bit of retail that way, but not selling as many rods in the winter to locals.
Though the winter months are normally the perfect time to tie flies to inevitably lose in the summer, Strainer said unfortunately they're not holding their fly tying classes this winter because they're unable to socially distance. But he's looking forward to teaching people to fly fish outdoors this coming spring.
So while Strainer did note that operating a business amidst the COVID-19 pandemic was certainly an experience, he hopes it was only a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Reporting in Craig, Sam Hoyle, MTN News.
All right, well, remember a couple of weeks ago when that strong windstorm took down a tree at the Helena Civic Center and damaged another one? Well, today the city decided they needed to remove the damaged tree. Chris Daly, the City of Helena's urban forestry supervisor, said a lot of thought went into the decision, and it came down to whether the tree was hazardous to emergency services response times if it fell.
When the first one failed and fell down, it changed the wind profile on the second tree, and the second tree was not in good a health to begin with. And so with the fire department's driveway being right there, that elevated risk of that second tree blocking emergency services was just a unacceptable risk level.
Well, President Joe Biden today setting his sights on another key priority, the climate crisis. The president outlined a $2 trillion climate change plan and a series of executive actions. He's ordering a pause on new oil and gas leases on public lands and waters, setting a goal to conserve 30% of U.S. lands and ocean waters in the next 10 years, using regulations to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and directing federal agencies to eliminate fossil fuel subsidies. The president said shifting to clean energy will create better and better paying jobs. A group of Montana teens are putting their technical skills to use to better the community. MTN's Alexia Guayo has the story.
These high schoolers are familiar working on projects. They all have skills in technical and trade careers, but they've decided to put down their gloves for a project that will serve their Montana communities.
We are creating blankets, and then we're donating those to the rescue mission, and then
we're making bags for people who serve in like firefighters, police officers, those kind of people. We're just taking care of them, getting little baggies for them, hand sanitizer, masks, stuff like that.
Along with the rescue mission, 9 blankets will also be donated to God's Love in Helena. Then, each student here will take 3 kits to their own community to be donated to first responders. This room represents communities across western Montana, Butte, Great Falls, Helena, and Plains.
It's nice to learn and see how people's life are affected when you give back to the community and not just take it all for yourself, but you give back to other people that helped you get to where you are.
Where these students are now is newly elected state officers for Skills USA of Montana. This is the first time the officers met in person, and already they are challenged with transforming their annual conference into a virtual event. But first, they wish to inspire local chapters to engage in the communities, especially during the pandemic.
Especially with everything being virtual and online, you don't get to see a lot of people. But the people in need are still out there. And as our state officer team doing these 2 main community projects, I hope that our officers can go back to their own chapters and start more community service projects as well as around the state.
In Helena, I'm Alexi Guayo, MTN News.
To learn more about Skills USA and each state officer, head over to our website, ktvh.com. And mark your calendars, because Governor Greg Gianforte is scheduled to give his first State of the State address to the Montana legislature tomorrow. You can watch the entire event on the KTVH streaming app for Roku and other devices. Coverage starts at 7, and to learn more about the KTVH streaming app, visit ktvh.com/streaming. And still ahead on the news at 6, a century-old bridge in southeast Montana is in danger of collapsing.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the news at 6. A 90-year-old bridge over the Yellowstone River near Reed Point is in danger of collapsing. The bridge serves one home on the north side of the river, and state transportation engineers say the river bottom under one of the supports has been nearly washed away. MTN's Mitch Laggy brings us the story.
For almost 100 years, this bridge on Twin Bridges Road near Reed Point has stood strong against the elements. Now, it's about nearing the end of its life. On Tuesday, Montana Department of Transportation closed the bridge to the public, and Fish, Wildlife and Parks closed the stretch of the Yellowstone River for 100 feet on either side of the bridge. The problem lies underneath the water, with an eroded river bottom that's no longer fully connected to one of the bridge pier's foundations.
Over the years, the river has actually moved the material around that pier to the very bottom of the foundation. And in fact, it is going underneath the foundation in some locations. So there's not a good foundation under that support for the bridge.
The bridge was on schedule to be removed within the next 5 years. But the heavy scaling damage found in December of last year sped up the timeline for removal. The bridge serves only one household on the north side of the river. Homeowners leased the land from MDT, Brandon Berger said state transportation engineers check the bridge daily for safety as the state assists in finding the people another place to live.
So we want to make sure that it is still sound, that it's not exhibiting any kind of settlement or damage before they use it. We really are trying to limit the use of that bridge by those folks, but we can't abandon them over there, and they are getting their personal effects out in the next few weeks.
The Montana Department of Transportation expects to have a contractor picked out to demolish the bridge sometime in March. Reporting near Reed Point, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
For boaters who use the Twin Bridges Road boat launch, the next closest launches are 7 miles either up or downstream. All right, now it's time for another look at the weather with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
Well, some warmer air is beginning to move up into the state here. Look at the highs today. 40 in Great Falls, a little cooler still off towards the north. Helena at 31. I'll let you know which direction those temperatures will go as we head toward the final weekend of January. That's coming up.
Weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. After a cloudy start to the day, we broke into a little blue sky here this afternoon into this evening, looking pretty nice. Oh, we just warmed up here to 38 degrees. Some warmer air is mixed down into the Helena Valley. Some gusts up to 35 miles per hour. We had been inverted, an inversion in the valley for most of the day. Great Falls, temperature fluctuation all day long, going up into the 30s, back into the 20s, back up into the 30s, and temperatures coming down here right now. Here's this boundary, and the boundary lifted to the north of Helena earlier today, but again, we had that cold air trapped in the valley until just recently. We kicked that cold air out, and there's the wind. Strongest in Livingston, second right behind that wind as far as strength goes, Helena, with south winds at 24 miles per hour. So a few flakes, mainly up over the higher elevations, some flakes into the little belts, the big belts, the high woods, and now a couple of flakes working across the north central part of the state. That's the warm front that is producing a couple of those flakes here, but more in the way of snow closer to the Idaho border, especially down near Monida Pass. That's where some of that snow is heaviest, and the heaviest snow actually down into California, where we're still dealing with blizzard warnings right now. Winter weather advisory continues through most of tonight and tomorrow, down again from Monida Pass and Reynolds Pass there into southwestern Montana. Elsewhere, little snow system moving through the Ohio River Valley, and again, California is getting hit extremely hard with a lot of heavy rain and also heavy mountain snow. So here's a look at what will happen. We'll have some clouds continuing tonight into tomorrow morning around Helena and Great Falls. May even see a few flakes of snow in the morning hours into the mountains here for Thursday. Partly cloudy skies, though, by the afternoon. And then into Friday, the low pressure that's out off the coast of California, that moves through the central Rockies, and we'll have a little wave of low pressure coming up into the south central part of the state. That may kick off a little snow, believe it or not, Friday afternoon, Friday night into Saturday morning. By Saturday afternoon, most of the state partly cloudy and a little breezy with west winds up to about 15-20 miles per hour. Sunday looks dry, a very quiet end to January, and a fairly quiet start to February, at least February 1st, because here we go on to Groundhog Day and some snow coming through. Some snow may continue into Wednesday as well. So it does look like for at least the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks of February, a little snowier situation here coming through. But there you can see some of that snow, heaviest down there around West Yellowstone into the weekend. And then it's Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We may get a little snow. Here's the forecast for tonight. Not as cold as the last few nights, but still pretty chilly. Rudyard down to 9, single digits and teens out the high line. A little warmer in central Montana. 20s and teens and 20s, not as cold around Helena. Here's the forecast for tomorrow. We'll look at temperatures up into the 20s, closer to the Canadian border. But how about 46 degrees in Cascade, Winifred, Geraldine, up into the mid-40s, a little colder northeast Montana. But there's Lewistown, partly cloudy, and 41, and we should be right near 40 degrees around Helena for the high tomorrow. Maybe the valley again could see a little inversion developing, about 37 or so 48 though, or 38 I should say, on Friday with some afternoon light snow showers. The hills south of Helena could see maybe an inch or two of snow, also up on the Continental Divide, maybe an inch or two Friday night into Saturday. Groundhog Day, a little more snow coming through into Wednesday as well. And for Great Falls, maybe a snow shower, better chance south and southeast of town on Friday into Saturday. Mild end to January and beginning of February, but there's some snow Groundhog Day and Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Curtis. Still ahead on the news at 6, President Joe Biden signed a bill allowing transgender men and women of any age to participate on the sports team of their choice. How that decision could impact sports and sports scholarships.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back to the news at 6. Thanks for spending some time with us this evening. On his first day in office, President Biden signed a bill allowing transgender men and women of any age to participate on the sports team of their choice. Our Joe St. George walks us through the impact of the decision and the consequence top trainers are saying it could have on sports and sports scholarships.
Sports. Winning. It's something you probably don't think involves the President of the United States, but in his first week, President Biden signed an executive order on preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation, in which it said children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they will be denied access to the restroom, the locker room, or school sports.
This was a huge win for the community.
Sean Turk, who began transitioning to male in 2014, is ecstatic.
It has been a long time coming.
Taylor Small, who began transitioning to female in 2016, elated. The order suggests that transgender women born biologically male could now play female sports and vice versa, something Taylor, who's now a state representative in Vermont, says she would have loved to have done during her high school years.
I would have loved to be able to play sports that and be on teams with folks who identify the same way as I do.
But sports is competitive. Winning for many is everything.
If a coach doesn't win, he's gone.
Which is why Dr. Linda Blade is sounding the alarm. She's president of Athletics Alberta, a Canadian sports group that trains athletes at all levels. She says the same debate is happening in most progressive countries worldwide. She fears coaches will start recruiting more transgender athletes for female sports teams, denying some scholarships.
There's no comparison, especially in adult females and males. Like, men are just dominant, like as far as, you know, they're stronger.
Do you really believe that there are that many transgender athletes that could potentially take away scholarships?
I do.
Right now, policies vary by state. These states in green are considered welcoming to transgender athletes, according to Trans Athlete, an advocacy group. These states require some medical proof to play. These states don't have any guidance. Meanwhile, these states impose restrictions. One of those is in Idaho. Recently, our station in Boise profiled a female transgender athlete who wanted to join the Boise State track team, but was denied.
I'm just another person like anyone else, and they have vilified what I'm trying to do.
Where this goes from here, unclear. New court challenges are likely.
The community as a whole only makes up a small percentage.
But Sean reminds us it's a small community. There has never been a transgender Olympian. Taylor, though, hopes that changes.
This is just one step in the right direction.
In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
All right, and we'll wrap things up here on the news at 6 when we come back.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 6.
Welcome back. When the roads get icy and the snow knee-deep, skiing is a fast way to get around, and that's why Lahti, a city in southern Finland, decided to roll out a public ski sharing scheme, City Skis. It works in a similar way to city bike sharing. The skis can be borrowed from one of 3 ski points, and 2 are in the city center and 1 near the city's ski stadium, and then they have to be returned there after use. Lahti is known as a winter sports city and has hosted the Nordic World Ski Championships 7 times. With a total of 11 miles of cross-country skiing trails in the area, most locals are ski enthusiasts, and in addition to the already existing trail network, new skiing trails have been laid out in the city center.
I think I'm moving to Finland. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast for Great Falls. No, seriously. 42 degrees for the high tomorrow in Great Falls. Little snow south and southeast of town Friday night into Saturday. Maybe a few flakes up into Great Falls. Better chance for some snow Groundhog Day tomorrow. Groundhog Day on Tuesday. And for tomorrow in Helena, mostly cloudy, a little light snow likely Friday afternoon.
All right, and that does it for the news at 6. We'll see you back here tonight at 10 with your latest headlines and another look at the weather. Have a good evening.